Welcome to another deep dive. We've all seen the headlines, haven't we? About semaglutide, Ozempic,
Mhm.
Wegovy, their impact on weight.
Oh, absolutely. It's everywhere.
But today, we want to cut through some of that noise. We're diving into what might be the real story behind these medications.
Yeah, looking beyond just the pounds lost.
Exactly. And not seeing them as just a quick fix, but maybe as, well, as a catalyst for something much deeper.
Hmm.
We're focusing on the really compelling work of Dan Hollis. He takes this whole conversation way beyond the physical into, a more human journey.
That's right. And just to be clear, this isn't really about dosages or injection schedules or things like that.
No, not at all.
It's more about what actually happens when those persistent physical cravings finally quiet down
Right.
and you suddenly find yourself, maybe for the first time, facing these much deeper sort of fundamental questions about who you are and what you genuinely need.
So our mission today is really to unpack Dan Hollis's philosophy here. He has a very unique take.
He really does.
He doesn't see semaglutide as like a magic bullet.
Mm.
Instead, he views it as this powerful tool that kind of opens up a crucial
A
window.
window. I like that.
Yeah, a unique space for some really transformative emotional work, identity work, even. It's about using that pause for something truly meaningful.
Leveraging the pause.
Yeah. So maybe let's start with the basics, just quickly. We know semaglutide Ozempic, Wegovy, it's a GLP-1 receptor agonist.
Right. Originally for type 2 diabetes.
Exactly. But then its effectiveness for weight loss kind of pushed it into this huge mainstream conversation.
And that's exactly where Dan Hollis steps in with his sort of core teaching. He says, semaglutide doesn't fix you. It gives you space to fix yourself.
That's powerful.
Uh,
Space to fix yourself.
Yeah.
No.
He really emphasizes that it's like a biological pause button or a
Right.
window, as you said. It's not the solution itself. It
Ah.
changes the physiological landscape, but what you decide to build in that new space, well, that's entirely up to you.
He has this great analogy, too, doesn't he, about lumber.
Oh, yeah, the
Uh,
good lumber analogy. It's like the medication provides the essential material. It's ready for construction. But the actual building, constructing a new self, a different life, that still absolutely requires your conscious effort, your willingness to actually do the work.
Mm-hmm. And you have to want to build something.
Right. And a key thing Dan highlights is that this pause, it isn't just a physical shift. He sees it as almost an urgent call to step into personal responsibility.
Okay.
It's like an invitation to finally, truly ask yourself that question. What am I actually hungry for? Beyond just food.
And this is where his insights get really interesting, I think. Because we tend to reduce hunger to just, a physical signal. Stomach growls, eat something.
Yeah, the simple version.
But Dan really challenges that. He argues pretty strongly that willpower alone, it just doesn't work long term. Not against biology, not against deep emotions, and definitely not against those ingrained habit loops we all have.
Hmm. Those loops are powerful. And what's really insightful is Dan's idea that hunger is far more layered than we usually think.
More layered. How so?
Well, he puts it this way. Emotional hunger sounds like a craving, but it's actually a question, a need asking to be seen.
Wow. A need asking to be seen. Think about that. How many times have we, reached for food, not because we were physically hungry, but because we felt lonely
Or bored,
or stressed, anxious?
right? Overwhelmed. Semaglutide helps quiet that physical noise, that biological drive.
And when that static goes down.
Yeah, when the static goes away, it allows those deeper things, the loneliness, the boredom, the anxiety, maybe even joy sometimes, to finally come forward because they're so often tangled up in our relationship with food.
Which then leads to this pretty critical realization. Dan has this powerful quote, when the cravings stop, the truth begins.
Okay, the truth begins. What does that mean, the truth?
Well, he suggests this truth can actually be quite startling. It often involves a real sense of grief, actually, disorientation.
Grief. Why grief? Because for so many people, food wasn't just fuel. It was a plan for the day. It was the rhythm of their life. It was their go-to escape hatch.
Oh, yeah. The comfort, the routine.
Exactly. And when that's suddenly not the automatic fallback, you're kind of forced to confront what was underneath it all, maybe for the very first time.
And that underneath,
Yeah.
that often means grappling with a whole new sense of self, right? Which brings us to Dan's ideas about identity change.
Yes, this is huge in his work.
He points out your body changes faster than your identity, which makes sense.
It really does.
Yeah.
Imagine if food was your sort of emotional scaffolding, that structure you use to navigate the world to cope with things.
Mm-hmm.
If that scaffolding suddenly gets pulled out from under you because the cravings are gone, you're going to feel incredibly exposed, maybe even vulnerable.
That makes a lot of sense. So what's the solution then if the old scaffolding is gone?
Well, a vital part of Dan's solution is building new scaffolding.
Hmm.
And he's very specific here. He's not just talking about, like, motivational posters.
Right, not just positive thinking.
No. He's detailing actual neurobiological replacement structures. Think of it like building new, healthier pathways in your brain.
Okay, neurobiological, like rewiring.
Exactly. It's about establishing fresh rituals, new rhythms, different routines that become your new automatic responses. These form the essential support structure, the lattice, that helps keep people stable when their internal chemistry starts shifting.
And this connects to another really key part of his framework, doesn't it? Community.
Oh, absolutely critical. He says it so powerfully. Most people don't fail because the medication doesn't work. They fail because they were alone.
Wow. I mean, I think a lot of listeners can probably relate to that feeling. Trying to make a huge life change totally on your own, it's incredibly hard.
It really is. And if you connect this to the bigger picture, what Dan is essentially teaching people is how to build new architecture in their minds.
New mental architecture.
Yes. And he emphasizes that support community, guidance, it isn't just, nice to have. He calls it neurobiological scaffolding. It's an active process of rewiring and reinforcing. It's not passive.
Okay, so we've talked about how semaglutide creates this sort of unique window, this pause, and the need for new scaffolding and community. But what happens once you actually step through that window?
Right.
Dan warns about a really common trap, doesn't he? The focus on speed.
Yes, the speed of weight loss versus the sustainability. He explains that losing weight too quickly, it can actually backfire.
How so?
It can slow your metabolism right down. You can lose muscle mass, and that can actually worsen your long-term outcomes, make it harder to maintain.
So his focus is more on pacing, metabolic pacing.
Exactly. Finding a sustainable rhythm for your body, not just crashing the weight off.
Which makes sense for the long haul.
And he brilliantly sums this up by stressing that the real work begins after the medication.
After, not during.
Well, doing too, but especially after. It's crucial to understand that semaglutide isn't necessarily a forever thing for everyone.
Right.
So he emphasizes building habits that can actually live beyond the injections, specifically to prevent those old, ingrained patterns from just creeping back in once the medication stops or reduces.
And this leads to maybe one of his most profound lines. It's both sobering and kind of empowering.
Which one is that?
Weight loss is biology. Staying there is narrative.
Ah, yes. That one hits hard.
It really does. He explains how so many people rebound, not because the biology failed them again, but because they lost the weight. But they never actually rewrote their story. They never built that new sense of agency, that new identity we talked about.
They just went quiet, maybe.
Exactly. And without a new narrative, a new way of seeing themselves and their life, the old story just kind of reasserts itself eventually.
So Dan's work, then, is really about preventing that silence, that void, from becoming a relapse.
Yeah.
It's about consciously, intentionally filling that space the semaglutide gives you, filling it with structure, with community, with that renewed identity, purpose,
Yeah.
and critically, giving it time.
Right. Time is key.
And he completely reframes the goal, the win condition for this whole journey. He says, this journey isn't about eating less, it's about living more.
Living more, not just eating less. I like that.
It changes everything, doesn't it?
It really does. It all comes back to that other powerful insight he has. People don't relapse into hunger. They relapse into confusion.
Confusion.
So through Dan's lens, this whole process, weight loss, it isn't just about managing metabolism or counting calories. It's really about narrative reassembly.
Rebuilding your story.
Yeah, and refinding your own internal compass in a world that's just full of conflicting messages about food and bodies and worth.
Which can be confusing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And maybe circling back to one of his foundational beliefs, something really important he stresses. He says, there is no shame here, only process.
That's so important. No shame.
He really wants people listening to understand. You are not broken. You're not lazy or undisciplined. You're often just navigating these incredibly complex biological forces.
And cultural forces, too.
And cultural forces, exactly. A culture that, let's be honest, often profits from our confusion and our struggle with these things.
That's very true. And this leads to another really crucial element of Dan's approach.
Yeah.
He frames it as fundamentally a conversation, not a prescription.
Conversation.
Yeah. He emphasizes relationship. Your relationship to food, sure, but also to your body and importantly, to the guides, the community who are walking alongside you.
So he's not just handing out rules.
No, not at all. He's there, as he puts it, to provide a map, a guide, and a community, offering direction, offering support, rather than just issuing dictates.
What I find so striking about his work, listening to him, is his ability to just slow the whole conversation down.
Yes, he resists the quick fix impulse.
Totally. He doesn't rush to easy solutions. Instead, he asks these really profound questions that make you stop and think, like, what happens when your body stops screaming for food, but your soul still wants something to chew on?
That's a deep one.
Or what if the weight wasn't just physical, but historical, emotional, maybe even familial, things passed down?
Yeah, the layers again, going deeper.
Exactly.
And in Dan's framework, actually healing that emotional hunger, the stuff underneath,
Yeah.
it requires empathy, not judgment. It requires awareness, not just a new set of rigid rules. And it definitely requires curiosity, not punishment.
Curiosity about yourself, about your needs.
Yes, understanding the roots of your cravings, your patterns, not just trying to suppress them or shame yourself out of them.
So, wrapping this up, if you listening are using semaglutide, or maybe you're considering it, the core message from this deep dive inspired by Dan Hollis,
Or just focus on the number on the scale.
right, focus on that profound window it opens up for you. See it as this unique opportunity for some really significant internal transformation.
And maybe as you embark on this journey or continue it, really ask yourself, what am I genuinely hungry for? What lies beneath the physical craving?
Yeah, and crucially, what kind of support do I actually need now that food maybe isn't filling all those gaps in my life anymore?
Who can be my scaffolding?
Exactly. Remember that line from Dan Hollis? When the cravings stop, the truth begins. This miracle pause, as some call it, it really gives you the time, the space to choose a new direction for your life. One that feels more aligned, more true.
So the final question is, what new story will you begin to write for yourself in that space?